made many disparaging remarks about me. See, the Pope was in Mexico. The leadership's meeting. Oh, Donald Trump is a bad guy. He wants to build a wall. He wants to keep illegal immigration. It's terrible. They don't say it that way. They say, he wants people to stop having this and that. Look, I'm wise to them.
He has, quote, the world's greatest memory.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Yes, I think the Republican nominee is unfit.
Another one of those events where grading the conversation we just saw, grading the conversation.
I think the first is to go to bed with an empty box, and that's very difficult. So you'll often find me. My father.
We're going to keep the families together. Well, I try not to make mistakes where I have to ask for forgiveness, for one thing. So when I'm asked a question like that, it's like, I don't like to make a lot of mistakes.
Gay marriage, what do you stand?
I'm against gay marriage. I am not in favor of gay marriage. I'm for traditional marriage.
If you become president, you might try to appoint justices to overrule the decision on same-sex marriage?
I would strongly consider that, yes.
LGBTQ community. No good. And we're going to stop it.
Road to the White House, putting Indiana again in the national spotlight tonight, this time centering on the possibility of Indiana Governor Mike Pence being Donald Trump's running mate. Speculation going through the roof today after Trump tweeted out that he was impressed with Pence this weekend.
Well, I'm supporting Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States of America. I think we've made it clear that we'll look forward to campaigning with him in Indiana and anywhere else that he thinks we can be helpful.
Indiana Governor Mike Pence signs the controversial Religious Freedom Act into law. The governor then tweeted this picture. No reporters or cameras were allowed into the morning event. Pence says he signed it because many people of faith feel their religious liberty is under attack by government action. The bill prohibits state and local laws which, quote, substantially burden the ability of people, including businesses and associations, to follow their religious beliefs. The American Civil Liberties Union of Indiana says the new law is a backlash to gay marriage, and it could hurt the Hoosier State's ability to attract the best and brightest.
It's time for rule by the people, not rule for the special interests which we have right now.
Well, I think the only negativity, and I call them the haters, and that's fine, but the only negative reviews were a little dark.
Man, this shit is getting crazy. Black people getting assaulted at fucking rallies where you supposed to talk at, Trump and all that bullshit. What you need to start doing, all these black people, go together, 40, 50 deep. See what they do then. Keep touching us, motherfucker.
Part of the problem, and part of the reason it takes so long, is nobody wants to hurt each other anymore, right? And they're being politically correct the way they take them out. So it takes a little bit longer. And honestly, protesters, they realize it. They realize that there are no consequences to protesting anymore. There used to be consequences. There are none anymore. So that's it. All right, thank you very much. Our country has to toughen up, folks. We have to toughen up. These people are bringing us down. Remember that. They're bringing us down. No reason for it. These people are so bad for our country, you have no idea, folks. You have no idea. They contribute nothing. They can get up, and when they're being whisked out, they can raise their bad finger up in the air and drive people, which is very unfair. And some people get very angry at that because you know what that represents. And then when they get a little bit overly angry, they're in trouble. The guy that raised his finger, no, that's no problem. That's no problem. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get him out. Get him out. Troublemaker. Get him out of here. Hurting this country, folks. Hurting this country. Big mouth. Yeah, get him out. Go home to mommy. Go home and get a job. Go home, get a job. Get a job. I'll tell you, these are not good people, folks, just so you understand. These are not good people. And I heard this was going to happen, and they said, Mr. Trump, would you like to cancel? I said, absolutely not. These are not good people. These are not the people that made our country great. but we're going to make it great again. But these are not the people. These are the people that are destroying our country. Right, you get them out. Get them out.
You say you want to make America great again, but we all know what that really means. You know, ban Muslims, Mexicans are rapists, Black lives don't matter. Make America great again? I think you want to make America white again.
Thanks. He's 100% wrong. Okay? He's 100% wrong. If he said that, I didn't hear he said.
He did say.
Okay, fine,
Okay.
fine.
New York
If he
Times.
said that, he's 100% wrong. And frankly, it's sad.
Alicia Machado says she was surprised to hear Hillary Clinton bring up her story on live national TV, but she is an enthusiastic Clinton supporter who is adding her voice to the list of women who have accused Donald Trump of sexist behavior over the years.
She has a name.
Where did you find
Her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Where did you find
and
it?
she has become a U.S. citizen, and you can bet she's going to vote this November.
Okay, good.
What were the names that he called you?
Miss Piggy, Miss Housekeeping, Miss Eating Machine.
All to your face?
Yes, all the time. That was really normal for him.
I will say this. Nobody has more respect for women, and nobody is going to defend our country stronger than Donald Trump. And I think I'm going to do very well with women. In fact, I see married women are way up right now in my polls. You see that.
He pushed me up against the wall and had his hands all over me and tried to get up my dress again. And I had to physically say, "What are you doing? Stop it." It was a shocking thing to have him do this.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy. I can do anything. Just kidding. I don't even wait.
This is suggesting sexual assault. And
that's a very unfortunate phrase, and people really should stop using that.
Why?
Because I know him better and I know better.
But it's what he said.
This term sexual assault has been bandied about.
I don't think he was advocating sexual assault on that. It's shockingly lewd.
It was guy talk.
Well, those words are horrendous. They're dreadful. They're appalling. They're foul.
That's what is said in a locker room. I've been in a lot of locker rooms. I play sports. Absolutely. Look, guys, don't kid yourself, okay?
The language is inappropriate. It's not acceptable.
He said he starts to kiss a woman and then they let him do X, Y, or Z. That implies consent.
The left will promote and understand and tolerate anything as long as there is one element. Do you know what it is? Consent. But if the left ever senses and smells that there's no consent in part of the equation, then here come the rape police.
He turned to me and embraced me and gave me a kiss on the lips. And I remember being shocked. I mean, I was very young, and I remember feeling kind of embarrassed, like wanting to turn and almost wipe my mouth, like, what just happened?
He just came strolling right in. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were topless, other girls were naked.
Natasha Stoyanov, a writer for People magazine, claims that she was physically attacked by Trump.
Trump took Tic Tacs, suggested I take them also. He then leaned in, I'm reading this, catching me off guard, and kissed me almost on the lips. I was really freaked out.
Temple Taggart was a 21-year-old beauty contestant. Watching him relive his sexual aggressions on this video, she said in an interview on Saturday, made me feel a lot better, she said. It was like, thank you. Now no one can say I made this up.
Describe kissing women without consent, grabbing their genitals. That is sexual assault. You brag that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said.
So for the record, you're saying you never did that?
I said things that, frankly, you hear these things, I said. And I was embarrassed by it, but I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those
women
things?
Have respect for me. And I will tell you, no, I have not.
Your building is, the Trump Tower is one of the great tourist attractions in the world. It's well known universally. Are you taking any precautions there in light of what happened at the World Trade Center?
Well, Alan, we've always had, as you know, very, very strong security, but there's very little you can do about planes crashing into a building. I mean, you look at Larry Silverstein, who's a terrific owner in New York and a very good friend of mine who I just called. I was very worried about him because I assumed maybe he was in the building. He took possession of the building 1 week ago. As you know, he just bought the World Trade Center.
Right.
And he was in his office, and he was getting ready to move into the World Trade Center over the next 2 weeks. So when I just spoke to him, there's nothing you can do when people are going to be bombing planes at your building. Now, I guess maybe the world is going to be changing, and maybe you're going to have F-16s flying all over the city, etc. But it's a pretty tough situation.
Donald, you have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest. And I just spoke to my people, and they said it's the most unbelievable sight.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
I was against the war in Iraq because I said it's going to totally destabilize the Middle East, which it has. But we had a chance after September 11th to be the most popular, for the first time ever, to be the most popular nation on earth, and we blew it. Everything's a lie. It's all a big lie.
A lot of people ask, how is it possible that a Boeing plane would be able to destroy or two planes would be able to destroy the Twin Towers? Because they were constructed to withstand like a 707 attack.
Well, it's tremendous power and tremendous heat, and people were willing to die, and when they're willing to die and when they're willing to become kamikazes of a sense, there's very little you can do about it. I mean, the heat and the power, actually it was amazing that the initial jolts didn't jar the building as much as people would have thought, but the tremendous amounts of fuel that was dumped on the building and 1,600 degrees temperature, I guess that's probably more than anything could take, no matter what.
I happen to think that they had not only a plane, but they had bombs that exploded almost simultaneously, because I just can't imagine anything being able to go through that wall. It just seemed to me that to do that kind of destruction is even more than a big plane, because you're talking about taking out steel, the heaviest caliber steel that was used on a building. I mean, these buildings were rock solid. I see what's happening down there. It's a mess. And the developer is actually a friend of mine, but he didn't want to build this building either. If you look back at the records, I mean, when it was first foisted upon him, Larry Silverstein is a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. But he didn't want to build this pile of junk. And it's a shame. It's really a shame. I called some friends, and we just cracked, the sign was just given, we just cracked $6 million, right? $6 million. Donald Trump gave $1 million, okay? I wanted to keep it private. If we could, I wanted to keep it private, because I don't think it's anybody's business if I want to send money to the vets. We went out, we set up the website, I called some friends, and we just cracked, the sign was just given, we just cracked $6 million, right? $6 million.
Reporting shows that he mentions the $6 million. About $3 million of that has since been detailed, and the Trump Foundation was essentially the intermediary. But that leaves half, Erica, another $3 million, still kind of up for grabs, as you reported. They're not telling us, the Trump campaign or the Trump organization, where the rest of the money went. They didn't tell the Washington Post, or I should mention the Associated Press, that made the initial request for these documents. So it's, again, one of these stories where the deeper you dig, and the Washington Post dug pretty deep, the more you find that there is a lot less going on than the Trump organization had initially suggested. It's, I think, the burden on him to show where that money went. Some of it is still basically, bottom line, unaccounted for.
$3.4 million in earned income in 1995. 8 years before that, Donald Trump was claiming billionaire status.
You are the antithesis of the billionaire recluse, the Howard Hughes, aren't you?
I don't know about that. I know that I work very hard. I love what I'm doing.
He also knows that Howard Hughes was a real billionaire, and he isn't. Of course, if Donald Trump was only lying about being a billionaire right up to the 1990s, and then he actually became a billionaire, he could prove that by releasing his tax returns. But as of now, all of the tax information that has ever been seen on Donald Trump shows him to be a billionaire